Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to English Legend. Today we will learn English through the history of sugar. This story will help you improve your English while learning something important from the past. When you taste something sweet, how do you feel inside? Does it bring a small smile to your face? Do you remember a warm moment from childhood, maybe a sweet tea, a candy, or a festival at home? Have you ever wondered how this sweet taste became part of our daily life? Sugar is small and white, but its story is long, deep, and full of human feelings, dreams, and struggles. Long ago, before sugar was common, sweetness was rare. People lived close to nature. They tasted sweetness only from fruits or honey. Imagine a quiet village thousands of years ago. The sun is warm. The air smells of earth and plants. A child tastes honey for the first time and feels joy. Sweet taste meant comfort, energy, and happiness. Because of this feeling, humans always searched for sweetness. This search slowly changed history. The story of sugar begins in ancient times, in a warm land with strong sun and rich soil. This land was India. Long ago, people in India discovered a tall green plant called sugarcane. When they cut the cane and chewed it, a sweet juice filled their mouths. It felt like nature's gift. At first, people drank the juice fresh. Later, they learned something new. They boiled the juice. The water slowly went away, and sweet crystals stayed behind. This was one of the first forms of sugar. In those early days, sugar was not white like today. It was dark and rough. It looked more like small brown stones. People called it by different names. In Sanskrit, it was called sharkara, which means gravel or small stones. This word slowly traveled across lands and languages. Over time, it became the word sugar that we use today. Sugar was not just food. It was medicine. Ancient doctors used sugar to help sick people feel better. They mixed it with herbs. They believed sweetness could give strength to the body and calm the mind. Sugar was rare and special. Only rich people or kings could enjoy it often. For most people, sugar was a dream, not a daily taste. From India, the idea of sugar slowly traveled to other parts of the world. Traders carried stories, spices, and sugar along long roads. These roads were hot, dusty, and dangerous. Camels walked slowly under the burning sun. At night, traders sat by small fires and shared food and stories. Sugar moved from hand to hand, from one culture to another. Around the 7th century, sugar reached the Arab world. Arab farmers were skilled and curious. They learned how to grow sugarcane in new lands like Persia, Egypt, and parts of North Africa. They built smart water systems to feed the plants. Slowly, sugar fields grew in dry lands. Sugar became an important part of Arab life. They used it in food, drinks, and sweets. Beautiful desserts were born during this time. Arab scholars also wrote books about sugar. They explained how to grow it and how to make it better. Sugar was no longer just a local product. It was becoming global. But still, it was expensive. In Europe, sugar was called white gold. Kings kept it locked away like treasure. Rich families showed sugar at parties to show power and wealth. In medieval Europe, sugar arrived through trade and war. During the Crusades, European soldiers traveled to the Middle East. They tasted sweet foods they had never known before. When they returned home, they carried the love for sugar with them. Slowly, sugar entered European kitchens, but only in small amounts. A little sugar in tea or food was a sign of high status. At this time, most Europeans still used honey. Sugar was too costly. It came from far away, across seas and deserts. Ships carried sugar in wooden boxes. Storms, pirates, and disease made the journey risky. Many people never returned home. Sugar already carried the weight of human effort and pain, even before its darker chapters began. As Europe's love for sugar grew, so did the hunger for more. People wanted sugar not only as medicine but as pleasure. Sweet cakes, sweet drinks, and sweet treats became popular among the rich. Demand increased. But the old ways of making sugar were slow. The world was about to change. In the 15th century, European powers like Portugal and Spain began long sea journeys. They searched for land, gold, and new trade routes. When they reached islands in the Atlantic Ocean, they found warm weather, perfect for sugarcane. Sugarcane fields appeared on islands like Madeira and the Canary Islands. These places became early sugar centers for Europe. Sugarcane farming needed hard work. The sun was strong. The work was long and painful. At first, local people worked in the fields. But soon many died from disease and cruelty. The system needed more and more workers. This need opened a dark door in history. As sugar became more popular, the story moved across the ocean to the Americas. New lands, rich soil, and warm climate were perfect for sugarcane. Large sugar plantations were built. They produced sugar in large amounts. Europe was happy. Sugar became cheaper and more common. But behind this sweetness, suffering was growing quietly. This is where the story becomes heavy. Sugar changed from a rare gift to a powerful force. It shaped trade, money, and human lives. Sweet taste now carried a bitter truth. The history of sugar is not only about food. It is about human choices, greed, hope, and pain. As we move forward in this story, we will see how something small and sweet could change the world in ways no one expected. As sugar plantations grew in the Americas, the world entered a new and painful chapter. The land was wide and fertile, but the work was cruel and endless. Sugarcane had to be planted, cut, crushed, boiled, and dried. This work was too hard for machines of that time. Human hands did everything. Day after day, under the hot sun, people worked until their bodies were tired and broken. To meet this need for labor, millions of African people were taken from their homes. They were forced onto ships and sent across the ocean. This journey was long, dark, and full of fear. Many did not survive. Families were broken. Languages, songs, and dreams were left behind. All this suffering was connected to one thing: sugar. This system became known as the transatlantic slave trade. Ships carried enslaved people to the Americas. There, they worked on sugar plantations. The sugar produced was sent to Europe. From Europe, goods were sent back to Africa. This triangle of trade made some people very rich, but it caused deep pain for millions. Sugar was now part of a global system of power and cruelty. On the plantations, life was harsh. People worked from sunrise to sunset. The air was heavy. The fields were sharp with cane leaves. Injuries were common. Rest was rare. Sugar, which gave joy to people far away, took life and health from those who made it. Sweetness on one side of the world was paid for with tears on the other side. In Europe, sugar slowly moved from rich tables to common homes. Tea, coffee, and chocolate became popular drinks. Sugar made them taste better. People felt comfort in a warm cup of sweet tea. They did not see the long road sugar traveled. They did not hear the cries of the fields. Sugar became normal, everyday, almost invisible. As sugar use increased, cities grew. Factories appeared. Shops sold cakes, sweets, and candies. Children smiled at sugar treats. Festivals became sweeter. Sugar was now part of culture and celebration. But the cost was hidden behind walls of distance and silence. In the 18th and 19th centuries, some people began to question this system. Writers, thinkers, and ordinary people started to speak. They asked hard questions. Is this sweetness worth so much suffering? Can comfort be built on pain? Slowly, movements against slavery grew stronger. Voices that were once quiet became louder. The fight was long and difficult, but change began. One by one, countries ended slavery. Laws were written. Chains were broken. But even after slavery ended, the effects did not disappear. The scars stayed. Sugar plantations continued, often with poorly paid workers living hard lives. The system changed its face, but not always its heart. At the same time, technology was changing the sugar industry. New machines made production faster. Sugar became cheaper than ever. It reached almost every home. It was no longer a luxury. It became a daily habit. People added sugar to tea without thinking. Bread, sauces, and snacks all began to contain sugar. Another big change came with the discovery of sugar from sugar beets. In colder parts of Europe, farmers learned to make sugar from beets instead of cane. This reduced the need for imported sugar. Countries could produce sugar at home. This helped some nations become more independent, but it also increased sugar use even more. By the 20th century, sugar was everywhere. It was in drinks, food, and desserts. It gave quick energy and pleasure. But slowly, people began to notice another side of sugar. Too much sugar caused health problems. Teeth decay, weight gain, and sickness became common. Doctors started to warn people. Once again, sugar showed its double nature. It could bring comfort and joy, but also harm and pain. History repeated its lesson. When humans desire too much of something, balance is lost. Sugar, once rare and precious, became a challenge of modern life. Today, when we look at sugar, we see more than sweetness. We see history. We see human effort, mistakes, and learning. Sugar connects ancient farmers, enslaved workers, traders, kings, children, and modern families. It is a small crystal with a very big story. As we move forward, it is important to remember that history lives in our daily choices. Every spoon of sugar carries the past with it. Understanding this story helps us become more aware, more thankful, and more thoughtful about the world we live in. As the modern world moved forward, sugar became deeply tied to daily life. It was no longer something rare or special. It was easy to find, cheap to buy, and simple to use. People added sugar to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sweet taste became a normal part of comfort. After a long day, a sweet drink or dessert felt like a small reward. Sugar began to speak to human emotions, not just hunger. In factories, food production changed quickly. Companies learned how to add sugar to almost everything. Bread stayed soft longer. Drinks tasted better. Snacks became more exciting. Sugar helped sell products. It made people want more. Slowly, sweetness became stronger and stronger. Natural flavors were replaced by heavy sweetness. Many people did not notice this change. It happened quietly year by year. Children grew up with sugar all around them. Birthday cakes, candies, and sweet drinks became symbols of love and celebration. Parents gave sugar to show care. Friends shared sweets to show kindness. Sugar became connected to happiness in the human mind. From a young age, people learned to link sweetness with comfort and safety. At the same time, scientists and doctors continued to study sugar. They noticed patterns. People were getting sick in new ways. Teeth problems increased. Bodies became heavier. Energy rose quickly and then fell suddenly. Sugar gave fast pleasure, but it did not give lasting strength. These ideas slowly entered public talk. In the middle of the 20th century, health warnings became clearer. Doctors spoke about balance. They did not say sugar was evil, but they warned about too much. Some people listened. Others did not. Sweet taste was already deeply rooted in culture and habit. Changing habits was not easy. Sugar also became part of identity and tradition. Different cultures used sugar in their own ways. In some places, sweet tea was a symbol of welcome. In others, desserts marked important life events like weddings and festivals. Sugar carried memory. One bite could bring back childhood, family, and home. Because of this emotional power, sugar was hard to let go. Meanwhile, farmers in many countries depended on sugar crops for survival. Entire communities were built around sugar production. Cutting sugar completely was not simple. It meant changing lives and economies. Once again, sugar showed how one product could connect many human lives across the world. In recent times, people began to search for alternatives. Honey, fruit sugar, and other sweet sources became popular again. Some people tried to reduce sugar. Others chose natural sweetness. This movement was not about fear but about awareness. History had taught a lesson. When something controls us, we must pause and think. Education played an important role. Schools, books, and videos began to explain sugar's past and present. People learned that sweetness had a cost both in history and in health. Knowing the story helped people make better choices. Knowledge became a kind of power. Sugar also became a symbol in conversation. It was used as a metaphor. Sweet words meant kind words. A sweet memory meant a happy memory. Even language carried sugar's influence. This showed how deeply sugar had entered human thought. Looking back, sugar's journey is long and complex. It began as a simple plant in warm soil. It traveled through hands, ships, and systems. It brought joy in pain, comfort in suffering. It helped build empires and also broke lives. Few things in history have touched so many parts of human life. Understanding this does not mean rejecting sweetness. It means respecting it. It means remembering that even small things have power. Sugar teaches us about desire. It shows how humans chase pleasure and how that chase can shape the world. As people today become more thoughtful, the story of sugar becomes a guide. It reminds us to ask questions. Where does this come from? Who made it? What does it give me and what does it take away? These questions are not only about sugar. They are about life. The history of sugar is not finished. It continues every day in kitchens, shops, farms, and choices. Each generation adds a new chapter. By knowing the past, we can write a better future. One that values balance, care, and awareness over blind desire. As we come closer to the present time, the story of sugar becomes quieter but also deeper. It is no longer about ships crossing oceans or fields under harsh suns. Now it lives inside homes, habits, and daily routines. Sugar sits on our tables, hides in packets, and mixes into drinks without making noise. It feels friendly and familiar, like an old companion that has always been there. When people wake up in the morning, sugar is often part of the first moment of the day. A spoon in tea, a bite of bread, a sweet smell from the kitchen. These small moments feel gentle and comforting. They remind us of warmth and rest. Sugar speaks softly to our senses. It does not shout. That is why it is powerful. In many homes, sugar is linked to love. Parents give sweets to children. Grandparents share desserts with stories. Guests are welcomed with sweet food. In these moments, sugar carries emotion, not history. Feels innocent. Feels kind. But when we pause and remember the long journey of sugar, we begin to see more clearly. Sugar teaches us an important lesson about awareness. Many things in life feel small and harmless, but they have deep roots. When we learn the story behind everyday things, our view of the world becomes wider. We start to see connections. We understand that our comfort often comes from long paths walked by others before us. In today's world, people talk more about balance. This word appears again and again. Balance between pleasure and health. Balance between comfort and care. Sugar becomes a teacher here. Not by being good or bad, but by showing us what happens when balance is lost. Too little sweetness makes life dull. Too much sweetness makes life heavy. The middle path brings peace. History often repeats its message quietly. Sugar once showed how desire for more led to suffering. Now it shows how desire without thought can still cause harm, even in new forms. The lesson remains the same, only the setting changes. This is why history matters. It is not about the past alone. It is about understanding ourselves. When we learn history through simple stories, learning becomes gentle. Language becomes easier. Words carry meaning without fear. This is why learning English through history is powerful. You do not only learn words. You learn feelings, ideas, and understanding. You connect language to life. The history of sugar also reminds us of gratitude. Every small thing we enjoy today comes from long human effort. Fields, hands, time, and knowledge all come together. When we understand this, we begin to respect food more. We waste less. We choose more carefully. Awareness grows slowly like a plant. In many cultures, sugar still plays a role in celebration. Festivals shine with sweets. Smiles appear with shared desserts. These moments are not wrong. They are human. The story of sugar does not ask us to remove joy. It asks us to carry joy with understanding. Joy becomes deeper when it is mindful. As English learners, listening to stories like this helps the mind relax. The language flows like a calm river. Words repeat gently. Meanings become clear. Learning does not feel heavy. Just like sugar, learning should be balanced. Sweet enough to enjoy but light enough to continue. When you hear the word sugar now, maybe you will think differently. Not with fear. Not with guilt. But with curiosity. You will remember ancient farmers' long journeys, hidden pain, modern comfort, and quiet lessons. One word can hold many worlds. History is full of such stories. Simple objects with complex pasts. When we learn them, we become richer inside. Our English improves, but more importantly, our understanding grows. We begin to see that learning is not only about exams or rules. It is about becoming more aware humans. As this story gently comes to rest, let it sit with you like a warm cup of tea. Let the sweetness be calm, not loud. Let the words stay soft in your mind. Every time you learn English through stories, you are not just learning a language. You are learning how to listen, feel, and think. Keep learning English through stories, because stories make learning gentle, meaningful, and lasting.